Hello and welcome to the psychology major, an overview with color commentary. I am your tour guide, Professor Jeff Sin of the Psychology Department at Winthrop University. If you're watching this, you're likely an incoming freshman, a transfer student, an interesting drive-by viewer, whoever you are, we are excited to have you and hope you get an overview of what it means to be a psychology major at Winthrop University. So, you want to pick the right courses? We want to help. Your first question, most likely, is this going to put me to sleep? The answer would be no. In fact, you may not know this, but George Clooney has even talked about this issue, and he says, nothing is as exciting as a good curriculum discussion. Nothing! Except, I might add, perhaps really cute dachshunds, but that's just my opinion. All right, we are going to start with a checklist. Checklists are used for many things. For example, launching a B17 bomber, which looks like this. The problem with the B17 checklist is it can end badly. Our checklist is much safer. It's the degree checklist. And as you're going through this, you should have a copy of this in front of you so you can make notes, draw pictures of airplanes if you like. And there should be a link nearby for this from where you found this video, or you might already have a degree checklist filled out. All right, so we have three major targets we'll talk about in this video. The general education requirements here, the major requirements here, then the minor, and then the electives. So just the way we think about it, these are the three big rocks that'll add up to the 120 hours you need to graduate. The electives are kind of the extra pieces that you put in to get to 120 hours. So there's no set number of electives you have. It just fills in the gaps after you've done these three big things. Most people will end up taking just a few electives to maybe 5 or 6. Okay, first, the general education component. You have the core sequence, which you have to take sequentially. That's writing, HMXP 102, and CRTW. These are writing and thinking courses, and you need to get certain grades to advance to the next one, and you can't take the next one until you've done one of the first ones. So these are important to get started on right away. Then we have our distributed requirements, which is to help you get well-rounded and experience different parts of the university. So you see here you have oral, technology, intensive writing, physical education, global perspectives, etc. There's little notes here. The intensive writing for psychology majors, you don't need to worry about since we meet that within the major. Otherwise, there's an approved list. I'll talk about that in a moment. I do have tech highlighted here because that's one of the ones you want to get done sooner rather than later. More on that in a minute. More distributed requirements, humanities and arts, quantitative, natural science, and foreign language. The quantitative, again, is highlighted because you want to get onto that quickly. Okay, foreign language I could highlight. Most people try to get that done in the freshman and sophomore years, but as arts and science majors, you need to have a foreign language and you need to get level 102 proficiency. There's a number of routes to that, which I'll talk about later. Okay, what courses will scratch my gen ed itch? You should have this handout provided for you, which is listing for most of the areas specific courses that you can take that will meet those requirements. This is not a comprehensive list, but it's ones that would work well for 90-95% of people. These are the most popular choices for these different areas. Okay, are you still with me? Good. Moving on to the psych major. The prerequisites, or what I like to think of as the foundations, are a set of courses that you more or less take in sequence. 101 is obviously the introductory content class. Psych 104 is a course that doesn't meet in person, it's just online, and it doesn't have any credit hours associated with it, but it does some things to help you get started in the major. One thing in particular is take this pre-test that lets us know what content knowledge you're coming in with. Psych 198 is an overview of psychology as a discipline and a profession, and it gives you a good grounding in what you can do with psychology and what the field entails as a research discipline. Psychology 301 and 302 is our research sequence, where you learn about statistics in 301 and 302 methods, and that knowledge will come in handy in your other psych classes. Just a quick note, 303 is just a component of 302, so you won't sign up for that separately. It's 0 credits. It's the way I think about it, and you should too, is just 301 and 302, and 303 you kind of get for nothing along the way. You can read these notes down here as you go. Some critical things. You need to get C minuses in 101, 301, and 302. But I'll break down the different components here in a second. Okay. After the foundation courses, you have some core courses. And we like to have you get the 301 and 302 done before you move on to the, say, 400, and there's even 500 level courses. But you certainly could take 206, 213, etc. 206, 213, 305, 335, etc. before finishing 301 and 302. But the core courses are some of the traditional areas in psychology, some of the greatest hits. So you can see here the list: developmental, abnormal, social, biological, cognition, and learning. And of course, you can find out more of those in the catalog, or this new thing that my students have told me about called the internet. All right, then in the major you have electives. This is distinct from the electives for your overall general education. These are psych courses that you want to take that are not required psych courses, but ones that you might be very interested in. So for example, I teach a 311 ecological psychology. 314 is personality psychology. There's some upper level courses that are more work, but that are also fascinating material. And oftentimes in professors in their really core interest area, 503 is gender and sexuality, and 512 is exceptional child. All right, and then it's not labeled here, but the capstone experience is a course you're going to take near the very end of your time with us, where you take one of these courses and it meets that requirement. Internship, just by the way, you need to apply to get into that. So if you're interested in that, make sure you talk to your advisor. Most people do that closer to the end of their time, but you want to be thinking ahead on that. Okay, so that's the major. And then moving on, the other big rock you're going to get of the 3 big rocks, the gen ed, the major, and the minor. The minor is about 18 hours, so you think about that as maybe about a semester's worth of courses or a little bit more. You can apply your gen ed courses. So if you have a minor down here, maybe history or social sciences, and you've taken history 211 to satisfy your historical perspectives general education requirement, that counts down here. Now, you wouldn't double count the hours to get up to your 120, but it can knock off one of your requirements down here. So in general, gen ed courses can count for courses in the minor. So just a few minors you might consider. Social sciences, it's very efficient because it oftentimes counts several courses that you've already taken. Social welfare is from the social work department, so a lot of people are interested in that because it's related to therapy or helping other people. Sociology is popular because it's another social science. It's kind of one step more macro than psychology is. But really anything you love would work for a minor. I always tell people, if you're at a cocktail party or a business interview, very rarely do people ask, what is your minor? So you should pick something that you think is really going to benefit you, that you love. Then, like we said before, electives, you'll fill in a few of these here to get you to that 120 before you, as you're completing the other three big areas. One note here is you might take an elective if there's a certain area you think might want to be your minor, but you might take it and check first. And if it turns out it's not a good fit for your minor, it could still count as an elective. Okay, almost done. So some details on the gen ed stuff. There's some timing issues, so don't delay on that core sequence. The writing 101, HMXP, CRTW, you want to be making progress on those right away from the start, and don't stop on them until you finished them. Technology in the CRTW, the critical reading, thinking, and writing, should be done before you hit 75 hours, before you accrue that many hours. And you want to do your quantitative early because it's a prerequisite for the Psychology 301 statistics. So you want to get that quantitative class in early. Note there are some twofers. So the Constitution, for example, is a requirement that you might meet with the history course that could also count for your historical perspectives. So tech, oral, and Constitution are a little different in that they can be met by a course that's meeting another requirement. Also note as you're working through things that there's a two designator rule. So what that means is if you're taking something in the arts and humanities, you can't take two classes that are in essence from the same area. They want you to say take a philosophy class and a history class as opposed to just two philosophy classes. Then foreign language, there's a number of different routes to get to 102 proficiency. The most obvious is to take 101 and then take 102. If you had a bunch of that language in high school and you think you're pretty proficient, you could start at 102. They offer a placement test in the foreign languages, modern languages department. And you can also take a CLEP test and show that you have mastered that amount of material. That gives you credit for that foreign language on your transcript. And you can also test into something at the 200 level or higher in foreign language, and that would give you credit on your transcript for the 101 and the 102. So if you have some prior experience on that, you might want to think about doing something other than just starting at the 101 level. But whatever you do, you have to get proficient. You have to be able to pass or pass out of the 102 level class. All right, some details, especially for freshmen. You want to hop into the Psych 101, Psych 104, and Psych 198 as soon as possible. If you, the only one that you absolutely really must take your first semester, if at all possible, is the 104. The 101 or 198, if you can't get in them until the second semester, that's okay. Ideally, you want to get in the 301 and 302 before your junior year. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's what we recommend. And just so you know, it's okay even if you're a psych major if you go a semester without taking psych. Sometimes that'll happen. It won't kill you. Okay, some details for transfers. There's a class called HXCT, which is a combination of human experience and the critical reading, thinking, and writing courses, which is designed for people that come in with 60 hours or more and already have 2 English composition courses. That's a way to say, in essence, okay, you've had some writing courses, we're going to give you a little bit of break and let you take just one course to get through these 2 courses. You, as soon as possible, want to do the technology, quantitative, and CRTW 201. Take Psych 104 right when you're coming in. And also note that the department chair might waive the Psych 198 depending on your situations. In general, it's still a good class to take because it gives you such broad perspective on the discipline and the major, but if it's a tight situation and you have trouble fitting it in, sometimes that gets waived. All right, that is it. We are finished. So it should be where you found this video. There are links to a bunch of other resources. Please check those out. And there's also links to folks' email that you can contact if you have additional questions. We really, really, really want you to love the major and do well in it, and we are here for you to help you make the best possible choices and build the best possible schedule. So best of luck, and we will see you in the classroom very soon. Take care.